to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that discusses comic books, movies, TV shows, and of course, we have a beer of the week. This week, we're going to be recapping The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 and a little bit of Book of Boba Fett for you to get you ready for the premiere of Mandalorian season 3, which premieres on Disney Plus everywhere March 1st. Now, if this is your first time here in the show and you stumbled upon us, hey, go ahead, find us, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Leave a 5-star review because that's how the podcast grows. You can do that by searching Hops Geek News on any social media and podcasting platform, to include YouTube. We are close to 300 subs on YouTube, so help us cross that mark. Help us get to 1,000 this year. It would be greatly appreciated. And also, my beer of the week is from Lost Grove Brewing out of Boise, Idaho. It's called Bull Trout Princess, a German-style Kolsch. And I chose this because if you are on YouTube, it's Princess Leia riding a trout with bull horns or like elk horns or whatever kind of horns. I don't know. I don't hunt. I don't really know.
They're moose horns. Just call them moose horns because
they're horns,
you don't understand the relevance to that yet for Supernatural. You're not there yet.
It's Princess Leia riding a fish with horns. Okay, Jesus. And it's a 4.9% ABV. It comes from Lost Grove Brewing, like I said, out of Boise, Idaho, made with Galaxy and Nelson hops. Delicious, light in color, great brewery. And yeah, that's what I'm drinking. Lauren, welcome to the show. What are you drinking?
Thank you. I'm also drinking a Lost Grove beer. So I had an amazing beer box show up on my doorstep today with some phenomenal hazies and a cold IPA in there and a home brew, all sent from my lovely co-host here. So while I don't have Leia writing, that's me in case anybody was confused.
That's me.
Mine doesn't have Leia, but it has a robot dragon on it. And of course, we're going to be talking Mando. And there was a whole episode where they have to kill a dragon.
That's right.
And not only is this beer phenomenal.
How to train your dragon.
Oh my God, my son is obsessed with How to Train Your Dragon right now.
News about that later, but we'll get to that.
Oh, he asked me. So we just booked a trip to Disneyland for spring break, and I told the kids, expecting them to be thrilled and excited that we're going to. You know what he said to me when I said, "What do you want to do for spring break?" He goes, "I want to go to Disney World." I'm like, "Well, our passes are blocked out," and he goes, "Well, I want to go to California." I go, "How about Disneyland in California?" And he goes, "Well, I wanted to go to Animal Kingdom." That's what the 5-year-old said.
Look, I'll take the spot. If he doesn't want to go, he can switch places. He can come up here for me. I'll go down there. It'll be a time.
You would be much easier to handle. What blows my mind, though, is I had to renew my 10-year-old's annual pass yesterday. We're all over the place now because of COVID, and some of the kids canceled tickets and some didn't. And to renew her annual pass for a year to go to Disneyland, most of the time, whenever we went, we are blocked off on weekends and big things like during spring break, was less than it was to buy 3 one-day tickets, not park hopper tickets, to Disneyland. I did get Genie Plus though.
Genie. Look, I know you're against Genie Plus.
I'm a hypocrite. I bought it.
Genie Plus is so worth it. All right.
But as a local, it kills me because we used to be like, oh, we got our 3 fast passes for the park, which we only had 30 days. Hotels had 60. So like we couldn't get a fast pass for like Flight of Passage in the Animal Kingdom or anything like that unless we stayed at a hotel or had a friend who was staying at the hotel and we were going with them. So there were, we were still lower tier than the people visiting. But now the lines are just insane. I dread the day they take Cosmic Rewind off of virtual queue because I would rather set my alarm for 6:58 a.m. and get into the virtual queue and ride the ride than have to wait an hour and a half, whatever there.
It really is crazy. Like, so with Genie, you can also go ahead and book certain rides for certain times, but that doesn't mean you have a fast lightning lane pass, which is totally different. And so rides also have lightning lane passes, certain ones that's all you can buy. And so it's just, it's crazy now. You can't just go wait in a line. You can without paying for this stuff, but it's going to take you like 3 hours to get to ride the ride. Whereas the lightning lane and the Genie passes are going to get you there substantially faster. And it sucks. I mean, it really does, right? We're the modern age of consumerism and capitalism. It's like, how can we extract every ounce of every dollar out? Like there's no queue, there's nothing. It's all right. Pay us $20
all it does is make
the
natural lines longer.
It does.
So that's why, I always say, like, I get it when I see people who don't live here doing it, because you got to make the most of it. So like, I get it. But as a local, once they introduced that, like since COVID, we go on rides so much less than we used to. Like it used to be like, I would always promise a day I will go on at least one ride. When we walk over to Figment, which is usually still a walk on, but every now and then it'll be like 45 minutes. And I'm like, oh, hell no.
It's pointless.
Our cap's usually really 20.
Like,
Although I will
20 minutes is reasonable. 45 minutes. Okay. But God, when you're looking at, sometimes I see some of the wait times for Smuggler's Run and stuff like that. And it's like 3 hours.
I won't do more than 25 for Smuggler's Run. Rise of the Resistance, I will wait longer, and I'm wondering how this will go once Cosmic Rewind is a regular line, because both of these rides that are newer, before you actually get onto the ride, it's part of the experience, especially Rise.
Oh yeah. And
I've asked multiple people, like, do you think that because it's always like, oh wow, that line went quicker than I expected on Rise, because I feel like
you actually do stuff. It's interactive.
Right. So I feel like you're not actually in a plain old line very long, because I think that the part where you're in like the ship with Admiral Akbar, I consider that part of the ride, but it's not the official.
Whole thing, to me, is part of the ride.
Right.
You walk out and there's like, you're in that bay with all the stormtroopers.
Yeah. And
like, that's
the TIE fighters behind you.
The TIE fighters, like you're immersed in the experience. And so to me, you're a part of the ride at that point, because you have First Order members walking around telling you instructions and what to do and move along and all that stuff. So it's immersive.
So for Cosmic Rewind, they do some of that first too. Like you go into a couple of different rooms before you get into a line for the ride, and you're getting shot into a spaceship, basically. Like they're teleporting all the Epcot Terrans from Epcot up to this ship. So you have to do those things. So I'm wondering how the line will go when that happens. Because even with the virtual queue, a lot of times, like we do still wait a decent amount of time. Like I would probably say from beginning to end, like my mom's usually like, I'll see you in an hour and a half. I think we're out of there within less than an hour, but the line's really cool too. You know, all the lines, they're getting better about the lines. So I haven't even showed my amazing glass.
Lines.
It's Cad Bane.
It is. Yes.
So I will definitely, at some point this week, post a picture on the YouTube. This is another amazing glass from Glass to Mouth. I was about to pull my Grogu glass out and I was like, I haven't used Cad Bane yet, because I got him at Christmas time and all my Christmas glasses were out. So he's drinking a little liquor in this one. He's not drinking.
As he would.
Beer.
Cad Bane's like a Miller Lite guy, I feel.
But he's clearly on Tatooine. But I don't think he's liquor. I think he's drinking some whiskey. If he drinks
a beer, it's a Miller Lite, but typically he's drinking some sort of Jack Daniels or something. He's
an outlaw, whatever the outlaws drink.
Yeah, he's all hard and gruff, but typically we go into what we have messed up on. We don't have that this week, so we're going to go into what we've been reading or watching before some news before Mandalorian. So what, Lauren, have you been reading or watching?
So I watched Wakanda Forever Assembled. That was really good. I don't know why I put it on thinking that I wasn't going to get emotional right away, but I did. And that's actually where that Riri fun fact was that we mentioned last week, that she had auditioned for Shuri. So I was like, oh, wow, everybody's sharing this video. All of a sudden, that's where it was from. So
nice.
And then some Last of Us. And then I didn't watch too much of the Super Bowl, but I did watch a really good trailer.
We'll get to the trailers. Trailers because I watched a couple trailers too, and obviously I watched the Super Bowl. Don't even. I'm
pretty sure I predicted Kansas City was going to win.
Oh, I knew they were going to win by 3.
Should have bet.
I picked 34-31, but it was just tough ending of the game. If you're a sports fan, you hate seeing that flag thrown there. I know, by the law, that's how it's supposed to go, but you don't call it the whole game. It's very weak. Anyways, this isn't a sports show. I have been playing Hogwarts Legacy. Yes, I know the discourse out there about Hogwarts Legacy. You either just shitting on people, because we've talked about this.
Yeah, you mentioned it last week.
You can separate, like this goes with anything. Like people are shitty. J.K. Rowling, shitty. These companies that like we buy our clothes from, shitty. The food corporations, shitty. Everyone sucks, right? But there's a lot of people that worked on this game. There is, and I'm not making excuses. Like you can support the trans community, you can support everybody, which we do, and you still can. And even members from those communities are like, yeah, I'm playing this game, and it's a good game, man. I really enjoy this game. It's immersive. There's so much into it. You get to customize how you look like. You can look as stupid as you want with any hat or scarf or whatever. You can use the curses and you can go around and just interact all over outside of Hogwarts and more. So I'm having a lot of fun on it. I love her. I love the magic things. The kids are enjoying watching me play it. So I've been playing that. But other than that, and Supernatural, Last of Us. So quick Last of Us spoilers. We're going to talk about episode 5, actually, in 3, 2, 1.
Spoiler warning.
Man, they almost had me. Because I thought for a second that we were not going to witness that Henry and Sam scene.
Okay, I was about to ask if that happened in the game.
It does.
So here's the thing for me, and who is it? Somebody asked, like, are they just going to keep introducing characters that we get emotionally attached to and then rip them away? I'm going to say yes, because that's the cover with just Pedro Pascal and the other girl whose name I should know by now, who's doing a phenomenal job, and I loved her in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ellie and Joel. They're the only ones on the cover. So clearly they are the main characters through and through. I was hoping maybe it would last for a little bit longer, but it took me by surprise, and it was tragic, but at the same time, weirdly beautiful. I thought he was just a young dad at first. So that even surprised me when he said it was his brother. It was almost like more gut wrenching, because I'm sure there's some origin story where with what happened with the parents.
Well, there's not. So in the game,
well, I mean, I'm sure there is. We just don't really know about it.
Well, of course, right? In the game, Sam isn't deaf. He's fully capable. He's
oh, wow.
Yeah. And, this is Ellie's story. The Last of Us is Ellie's story. You're going to see that. You're going to come to see that. Right now, it's Joel and Ellie to the casual viewer. It's Ellie's story. So
it might continue to be Joel and Ellie just because it's Pedro Pascal.
Anyways,
she's everybody's daddy.
Yes. Anyways, a lot of things, like they went into the tunnel. A lot of that, what happens in the game, like when they go to that town part, everything pops out. That's kind of what happens in the game as well. And going through the tunnels, but you're introducing these characters like Kathleen and Henry and Sam, and they're not around for very long, but they make a profound impact, right?
Oh my gosh, hugely so, yeah.
Henry kind of helps Joel see humanity again, in a way, and he invites them to go to Wyoming with them. But just like in the game, Sam gets bit, and it's deeply haunting in this, where Sam can't communicate in the show. And in the game, he's like, do you think they're still, he doesn't tell Ellie he got bit. It's more of like, hey, he does ask, like, hey, do you think that's still the person inside of them? Which I
love that, because I had thought that too, like, because you're comparing it to the whole ant thing and this fungus taking over their motor skills. Are they mentally still there? I think that's a great question.
I think it's confirmed that they are,
which is tragic.
Just can't control themselves, right? Yeah. And it comes to find out, Sam in the show, he's like, are we still in there? All this stuff. And then he leaves that note, I'm sorry. And what's crazy is he's deaf. So he's based on sight. So he turns away from Ellie almost to be like, he can't hear her wake up. So he doesn't attack her knowing he's there. She's there.
I didn't even think of that.
What I took that as, like, he's deaf. So he turns away. And so he's just kind of there, infected. Ellie wakes up. And it was even sad because she's like, my blood is medicine.
I know.
And clearly it's not yet. It's not. And
right.
Then she's getting attacked, just like in the game. This goes down. Sam ends up having to Henry shoots Sam, and it's sad. Which
is how it had to be, because if Joel had done it, he would have been mad at Joel.
Oh, exactly.
But then just the instant regret was just tragic. And Joel knew he was about to, and he's like, no.
Gun down. It happens in the game just like that, and then he shoots himself, and you're just like, what? But Kathleen obviously is in the game. The thing that's great is that bloater.
That was fun.
Man. So that bloater, that's what they're called. That creature that comes out of so that horde that pops out of the tunnel there was crazy. And so that bloater comes out, and that's all practical effects.
Yeah, I saw them. That was crazy. The guy, it almost looks like what you would call like a fat suit is kind of what it looked like.
And so that was crazy. And he rips just through everybody. He rips, Pierce apart, and man, just crazy. And then Kathleen dies pretty quickly, right? And
which is
she's
very
gone out of the
satisfying.
picture, which is you were satisfied because you hated her. And to find
Well,
out,
I love her in other things, but she was straight up.
yeah. Well,
She even said, like, I understand why you did what you did to save your dying brother, but I don't give a fuck.
It was her brother. It was her brother who Henry snitched
but
on.
Zero empathy towards the situation. Are we ever going to get more of all that backstory, or is their story done?
She doesn't exist in the game, so that was it.
But I mean, even just like what? Because I feel like they could do something. I wonder if they're feeling some of this out. If there will be spinoffs, or
I'm never going to say no because clearly you don't know, right? I mean, sure, I doubt it. I
mean, they'll do a spinoff of anything. This podcast is a spinoff of Hops News.
But I doubt it. That's probably the end of their stories. And it was tragic. And Joel takes Henry's backpack. As you see in the end, he takes his backpack with him. And Ellie's really distraught. And yeah, it was crazy episode, man. It was beautiful, crazy. You get a child clicker, which isn't in the games. That's not in the games. There's no child clicker.
Oh, there's no kids ever?
Like they're kids, but they're not to the clicker stage. So like your body basically has to not succumb to the initial illness to get to the clicker stage. And then you get to the bloater stage. And that's even your body like getting past the infection. And the bloaters basically blow up, sending spores everywhere to infect other people. Kind of.
Oh, because in the show it's all via inhalation.
I don't think you do have to shoot them in the head. I will correct myself from last week. You can shoot them anywhere because it's their body still functioning. So you have to just kill them. But headshots the most effective way, right? Bloaters don't work like that. They take a lot of damage. And
probably because they're creating this like layer of stuff out, almost like armor.
Yeah. Well, I will say too that clicker in the car, she was actually played by a 9-year-old girl who's a contortionist, which is crazy.
I saw that. That was amazing. Yeah.
So, man, we got past the Pittsburgh, Kansas City storyline. Now they're this tragedy everywhere you go, right? Tragedy everywhere. And this is not a happy story. This is not a happy show. It's just not.
No.
The story is not.
It is so good though. And I think that what they just went through will help them to bond more, because obviously they're not fully there yet. We saw them, giggling and whatnot. But so Josh did start watching it. He hasn't finished the first episode, but he did start watching it. And so I rewatched that opening scene with the little girl, and I didn't even realize before when they scanned her that she's red. And so then they asked, because they're like, oh, we'll give you all the toys you want. And I didn't realize fully what was happening there, that they were gently going to put her down, obviously, but they didn't want her to be scared, and they hold her hand, and it's just like, oh my goodness.
It is crazy. And yeah, this isn't a happy story. So The Last of Us, check it out. We've got 3 more episodes left. There's 9 episodes total. We're going on episode 6 before season 1's over. Who knows when season 2?
So we're going to have 1 week of 2 Pedro Pascal shows, maybe 2 weeks.
We will. Yes. Because the Mandalorian.
This is a Pedro Pascal episode, apparently.
It is. So let's go into some news. We'll roll into some news now. And if you know anything about this podcast, we love Ted Lasso here. And we got a teaser. Ted Lasso season 3, March 15th. One thing that I will say about this teaser, they said season 3 premiered. They didn't say the final season, because there's a lot of speculation. Hey, season 3 was going to be the final season. It was only meant to be 3 seasons. They didn't say that it was the final season. They just said it was the next season. So maybe we're getting more Ted Lasso.
Oh, shit.
And it premieres.
I mean, Apple TV is probably like, please, more.
I mean, I'm begging for more, right? And so March 15th is going to be season 3 of Ted Lasso on Apple TV.
Oh, shit.
Make sure
There's
you check
a giant
that out.
wolf spider.
Oh,
all right,
God.
Continue your news. I'm going to go capture this giant spider.
Wolf. All right. Well, according to Kevin Feige, Fantastic Four news should be coming out soonish. I initially was like, well, duh, we're getting Fantastic Four soon. You already announced it comes out in like 2025 or something like that. But they should be ramping up casting announcements and things like that soon. Look forward to getting some Fantastic Four. Super Nintendo World has been announced for Universal Studios Orlando, which was the worst kept secret. Super Nintendo World just opened up in Universal Los Angeles, and now they announced Super Nintendo World for Orlando. I love that. I'm wicked excited. Just more reasons to come out there. Harry Potter World, Super Nintendo World, Disney. What other reasons do you need? Now, We also have a new Hellboy film in the works, which will be directed by Brian Taylor. And if that name sounds familiar to you, that's because Brian Taylor actually directed Jonah Hex and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. Can't say that those are quality films, but
I did not see either of them. I know who Jonah Hex is.
Yes. And so he's got some experience directing this stuff. Who knows if it's going to be quality, but they keep trying to do Hellboy, and I'm here for it. I like Hellboy. So did you hear that Bruce Willis has dementia? He's been diagnosed with dementia, which is sad.
I knew he had some sort of mental thing.
Yeah,
I didn't know
aphasia, which is basically like you lose the ability to talk. And now he has dementia. So he's only 67. And I know Bruce Willis may be an asshole in real life. I can't say for sure because I've never met the guy. I don't know him personally, but allegedly by accounts. And it
I didn't know he was an asshole. Oh, I know he get into it with Kevin Smith.
Yeah, but they buried the hatchet and all that. But
I feel like Kevin Smith would do it with anybody.
Yeah,
probably a crier and a hugger.
Bruce Willis has starred in so many movies that we know and love. And so it sucks.
Oh, Die Hard, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you got Die Hard, The Fifth Element, Armageddon, things like that. So it sucks to see because Bruce Willis is one of the biggest stars out there, and to see that he may not be around much longer, it's sad. And
yeah, especially he's got kids and whatnot. I believe he ended up on Friends because he lost a bet to Matthew Perry when they were doing what was it? Remember the movie they did with the hot girl from Saving Silverman?
I don't know.
The whole 9 yards, I think.
Oh,
anyways,
yeah.
I think that was it. And he ended up donating all the proceeds for the 3 episodes he did, which I'm sure a guest spot on Friends for someone like him was not cheap. So even if he's an asshole, he can't be that bad.
Right. Well, we got a John Wick Chapter 4 trailer, and the runtime for this movie is apparently could be 2 hours and 49 minutes. And the trailer was 2 minutes and 14 seconds or whatever it was of just creative killing of many different characters. And so if I'm getting 3 hours of John Wick mowing down people, this might be my movie of the year, hands down. I love this franchise. I love Keanu Reeves. I love John Wick. I will be there in March for John Wick Chapter 4. 3 hours. Might even see it twice. Who knows? Let's get crazy.
I still need to watch 2 and 3.
Oh my God, so good.
I know it's on my to-do list. I watched 1 and I was like, what the fuck was that? It was enjoyable, but he straight up just murders everybody the whole time.
That's literally the only movie. That's what the movie's about.
I get it. People who kill puppies, there's a cold place in hell for them. But
this is so aggressive, my dude. Why? There's 4 of these movies now and he's just killing people the whole time? That's very aggressive. Well, that's John Wick for you. He's a hitman. He's the boogeyman. A fucking pencil.
For only if you're a bad guy.
Yes. Or, maybe misunderstood. But what you should watch is Pooh, Blood and Honey. Apparently that movie came out and it's debuted at 6% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm shocked.
Unfortunately, it's not playing in a theater near me, so I don't get to watch it. But
I wonder if Disney execs were like, everybody go rate this now. I
doubt they care. I really doubt Disney cares.
You don't think it's a quality movie?
I haven't been able to watch it. I don't know when I'm going to get to watch it. I still haven't seen Mean One, about the Grinch. So, but hey,
oh my gosh, I forgot about that one.
The cinematic universe that is Disney characters that are public domains killing people. So take that with what you will. Oh, there was some trailers that released at the Super Bowl, such as Guardians of the Galaxy. What do you think about that trailer?
It's going to be a rough movie. It's going to be sad. So what the worst part is? I didn't even catch it on the screen. We were so busy in the kitchen talking and drinking and pouring beers that I missed the trailer. I had to YouTube
You
it.
didn't miss the trailer because like Flash, they both gave teaser trailers, but they posted the full trailer online.
But even the one, as soon as I saw Michael Keaton, I yelled. Okay, I've never in my entire life been so excited for a DC movie. I'm so excited. Never been this excited.
Lauren is excited for oh man, look.
Oh, that's opening night for me for sure.
Let's go. I didn't care
Keaton,
much
come
about this
on,
movie,
man. That's my childhood.
But Flash is my hands down favorite character. Of course, Ezra Miller, they're a piece of crap.
Oh, he's don't
care for Ezra Miller at all. I hope they recast them and move on.
I'm not going for Ezra.
I'm not either, but there's people that work in this movie. You know, we're getting Ben Affleck. We're getting
When Zod showed up.
Michael Shannon's back as Zod. They showed us a lot. We have Ben Affleck in his blue and gray bat suit. We got Michael Keaton laying waste to bad guys. We have Michael Shannon. Think
Henry Cavill, because Zod is Henry Cavill's.
They cut out Henry Cavill.
You don't think there's even a smidge of you that's like, it's the whole Andrew Garfield? I'm not in that movie. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I can tell you, like, I would love to be. It would be a
fun magic trick.
He will not.
So when I saw Zod and then I saw the silhouette of Supergirl, I thought for a second, maybe it's Cavill.
I wish, but I do hope that Sasha, I hope we get to see more of her Supergirl. Obviously, I don't know anything how her Supergirl is going to be, but I hope she stays on as Supergirl, gives her a chance. I know this is a big role for her. And even
I'm sure I don't know her at all. Do we know her?
No, I personally don't really. I think this is kind of like her big breakthrough, but the movie looks great. There's 2 Barry Allens going throughout this whole movie. And so who knows what's happening there. But yeah, they gave away a lot. And they didn't give away a lot. Apparently, they didn't even touch the 3rd act. But James Gunn's even like, this is like my favorite superhero movie of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm there. I mean, Flash is my favorite hero. So yeah, I'm there. And then
I love that Supergirl doesn't have the skirt.
Yeah,
I love that. They got
dope. Her suit looks
rid
awesome.
of the one on CW the last few seasons. She didn't have a skirt, and it was like they just look like cheerleaders in the skirt. Sure, they're adorable.
It's so like sexist, almost feeling that they just throw a skirt. But it's stupid.
But I get it to a degree, because when superheroes first started showing up, you know, women weren't. My grandmother didn't own a pair of jeans until the 90s.
Sure.
I mean,
no, I get it. Like comic books way back then. Yeah. For sure.
So it's just 100%. The evolution. But I absolutely love it. Hair ties and pants, people. This is what you need to fight crime.
I do always wonder, like, when there are girls fighting, you know, bad guys and their hair's flying all over the place. I'm like, how could you see?
I can't even do dishes if my hair is
like
in my
a girl
face.
Superhero, I would just like cut my hair wicked short just for the convenience and wear wigs.
Shout out to DC for one, Harley Quinn. They had the whole scene where Harley's like, I have an extra hair tie for you. And she's like, oh, thank you. And then in one of the very last season episodes of Legends of Tomorrow, one of the girls goes to she's like, all right, I'm going to go do this and go fight this person. And she literally goes to put her hair up. And then one of the other girls was like, no, let me do this. They were like, oh, they were doing a Die Hard thing. They were going through the air vents because they even quoted Die Hard. And another girl goes, no, you know, I'm smaller. Let me do this. And she takes the hair tie and puts her hair up. And I got to tell you, I can't speak for all women, but as somebody who's had long hair for 99% of my life, yeah, don't underestimate the hair tie. You need the fucking hair tie.
You do need it. You do.
Come on, Natasha. What are you doing? Nobody's buying it.
So the last bit of news I have is Ant-Man is out. At the time of recording this, it's sitting at 53% on Rotten Tomatoes, and people, you know, people are just bitching, in my opinion. You have these Twitter critics out there that just want to see themselves sounding smart, and it sounds cooler to shit on a property than it does to actually, I don't know, give us a critical thought. So people are not happy with Ant-Man, I guess. I'll let you know next week when we actually do our Ant-Man review. And yeah, just don't base the movie off of Rotten Tomatoes. Go see it for yourself. If you like it, great. If you don't, okay, that's fine too. Not every movie's for you. Not every movie's for me. But my God, don't let these Twitter critics ruin your opinion. So that's all I have for news. Lauren, what do you have?
I will say I've never walked out of an MCU movie being like, man, that movie was bad. Some are just better than others.
Yeah.
John Favreau got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which you think the majority of the things we're talking about tonight are because of John Favreau.
Yes.
So, Gotham Knights has wrapped season 1. The premiere will be March 14th. However, at one of the recent Supernatural cons, they did actually premiere it because Misha Collins, who you're going to meet in the next episode of Supernatural, is Harvey Dent.
Have you seen Harvey? Where's Harvey?
I heard the premiere was really good. I have high hopes and low hopes because the premiere for Winchester's was phenomenal. And then it kind of went down, and then I had a good episode. And then, so, you know, I'm going to watch it solely for Misha. What?
Winchester's isn't very good.
The first one was excellent. And then it went downhill. And then there was an episode that was good with Superman. And then there was another episode that was amazing and even had cameos from the show. It had 3 cameos from the show. And then the one after that went back to like, meh. So I don't know if it just hasn't caught its stride. I'm gonna stick it out at least for this season. Respect. I'm enjoying it, but I'm not loving it.
Respect it.
Kripke announced that they have been shooting The Boys season 4 since August and are currently shooting the finale, but there is no set date yet. There is a Tetris movie coming to Apple.
There is. They dropped the trailer with Taron Egerton.
Yes, that's his name.
Interesting.
It is based on a real story.
Interesting looking film. That's all I have to say about that one.
Tetris is the best game ever. So Feige said She-Hulk was not meant to be for everyone. I think he's just like, yeah, no shit. All y'all didn't like it.
My God, shut up, everybody. Just like the Fantastic Four. He's like, yes, there's going to be news soon. Like, get off my back, man.
And Marvel Studios says they're going to scale back the number of shows on Disney Plus in the future, which makes sense because WandaVision was supposed to come out way before it did. And, they're playing catch up.
I think that the only 2 that are coming out this year are Loki and Secret Invasion.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, we go from everything to nothing, kind of. So it sucks.
No, it's people are like, we have too much content, but it's all still good and fun.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, oh well.
That content whore.
Yeah. Give me something to do. We're at home with these awful kids most of the time.
This is my time away from the
complain about
children.
Being like, there's too much to watch. And then when there's not too much to watch, I'm like, my God, give me too much to watch.
I know. Even though I have to pause a 45-minute episode 6 times.
Ugh, the worst.
I'll enjoy it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And we will be back in just a second where we're going to recap Mandalorian season 1 and season 2 for you guys and ourselves. Because let's be honest, it's been a couple of years now since we've had some Mandalorian action. So we will be right back in just a moment.
Hey everyone, I'm J.R. Gonzalez, and I'm a comic book artist.
And I'm Zach Barlow, and I'm a published author and facial hair enthusiast.
And I'm Jordan Erith, and I have a drinking problem? Wait, why does the script say I have a drinking problem?
And together, we make the Hop Heroes Podcast, a show where we drink delicious craft beers and discuss the happenings of the comic book universe.
You can find us on all podcast platforms every Wednesday, and at Hop Heroes Pod on Instagram and Twitter for daily updates and news.
Time out, you guys. I'm serious. You guys really think I have a problem?
Follow us along our drunken journey into the depths of the comic book world.
Okay, guys.
Cheers.
Welcome back, folks. As I've told you, we are going to talk about Mandalorian season 1 and season 2. So if you've been living under a rock, Mandalorian, been on Disney Plus now. Jon Favreau's baby. And it's Pedro Pascal, surprise. He's not ruining our lives, but he's running our lives. And every big property you can think of, Pedro Pascal is there in some shape or form. And this show also has introduced us to Grogu, aka Baby Yoda to a lot of people. His name is Grogu, folks. His name is Grogu.
Sorry, Tracy. That's Grogu.
I know. Well, yeah, Tracy's like, is that the one with the Baby Yoda? The Baby Yoda show? Yes.
She won't say Grogu.
It's Grogu, folks, as you can see behind me on YouTube. But in season 1, that's when we obviously meet Din Djarin, aka the Mandalorian. So he's a Mandalorian foundling and he's a wicked good bounty hunter. He goes to Navarro and Grief Karga gives him an off-the-record job from an Empire dude surrounded by stormtroopers. Bum, bum, bum. We learn that the target is 50 years old. Bum, bum, bum.
He's clearly middle-aged, not a cute, adorable little alien.
He's no way this could have been the little cute, adorable alien. Guess what? Mando sets out on his journey where he meets Quill. Oh,
Quill. I don't know. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever because I love him.
Awful. So obviously Lauren's most underrated Star Wars character ever. I have spoken. That guy. He helps Mando, but listens to none of his bullshit.
None of his bullshit,
right?
I love it. Mando tries to argue with him, like, shouldn't we do this? I have spoken. He's basically telling him, shut the fuck up.
I know.
I said what I had to say.
That's how I say it to my kids. I have spoken. Rather than tell my kids directly to shut the fuck up, it's I have spoken. Look,
right.
Revolutionary. revolutionary.
If I start to say shut the fuck up, I'll start singing. Just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up.
Go the fuck to sleep.
Brielle hates when I say I have spoken, my 10-year-old, because I'm done arguing with you. I'm not supposed to be arguing with you.
No.
I am your mother. I have
You're
spoken.
a child. Remember your place. Know your place, peasant.
Know your place. I'm just going to tell her therapist
Shut your
that
mouth,
one.
jabroni. Anyways, Mando obviously has a hatred for droids, but he teams up with one to get the target, who they discover is, gasp, a mini version of Yoda. Yay,
No
we don't
one
know his
saw
name
that
at this
coming.
point. We do not know his name at this point.
A lot of
Now-
people did think it was Baby Yoda at first. I feel like
Yes.
people who didn't like understand the timeline were like, it's
The
Baby
casual
Yoda.
Star Wars fan was like, it's Baby Yoda. It's like, it's not.
Or Yoda's son.
No.
That still hasn't technically been ruled out.
No. Yoda was celibate. Like, or was he though? I don't know.
There's
He
no
could've
such
been
thing as
down
celibacy.
on the Wookiee planet. Okay. I don't know. Anyways, the droid tries to kill this precious baby Yoda. And Mando's like, not on my watch. So that's where he meets Grogu and begins the journey with, quote unquote, the child.
So, mission accomplished. Back to the Razor Crest, except those damn hairy Jawas done fucked up the Razor Crest. Kual helps, and Mando almost dies due to a mudhorn, but the child saves him by levitating it, and then the child takes a nap. Now Mando and the child can leave. Mando and the child begin the bonding process, and then back on Navarro, he drops him off, but has a bad feeling about it. Meanwhile, he gets that Beskar steel upgrade and some shiny new bling from the head Mando, who is also in Supernatural and will be at MegaCon this year. Her name is Emily Swallow. With his new bling, he still can't shake this feeling that he fucked up giving the child to the person who wanted him. So he goes to get the child and arrives in the nick of the time as experimentation was about to begin. As Mando attempts to escape, the other Mandos come and help, and he sails into the sky with his new son and the shiny ball that he did not let the child play with at first, and then he gives in and lets him play with the shiny ball.
He does.
Now they must hide and decide to go to a planet named Sorgon. He definitely could have gotten some here. That one mom was definitely feeling the Mando, but he just settled
thirsting
for some food and playmates for his son. However, there is trouble not far. So Mando gets Cara Dune to help him, who she fought in the Empire. She even talks about fighting, and it's a trap battle.
I'm not going to
talk about
the bag any worse than the actress who's.
I was going to say I don't even want to talk about Gina Carano.
Talk about how she could have shut her mouth and made Star Wars money and lived. Instead, she had to have very questionable takes, and now she's out peddling some movie that made like $600 in theaters. It's hilarious.
Makes me sad because I really liked her.
Nah,
you know what? I liked Cara Dune.
Oh yeah, okay, yes. She too many headshots in MMA. I don't know, but anyways.
Was it Genie? One too many hits with the snake.
A lot of concussions, CTE.
All right. So Mando considers leaving the child, but doesn't. Oh, he considered leaving the child with the woman who definitely wanted to have sex with him.
Now, this is a really cool episode because we get like a cool AT-ST walker, and it's like a Vietnam battle, right? Like not cool in an aspect that's Vietnam, but
no, I think they were definitely going for that.
They definitely were. Yeah, like there's the crew, and it's in this jungle setting, and the town stands up. He gets the town to fight back for a change. They've been
right. He teaches them to fight.
Yeah, and he teaches them to fight, and it's a really great episode. A lot of action, and a lot. We get
the tea scene.
Yeah,
where Grogu's drinking the tea,
and Mando doesn't want to take his helmet off in front of people and things like that. And so this is a really great episode. By far one of the best ones of season 1, hands down.
I like before he shows Grogu his face, like he goes to lift it up to eat, and you see Grogu like look under to be like, what do you look like? What's under there?
Under there?
I feel like everybody's curious. I mean, honestly, when I listen to podcasts and I haven't seen people's face, it's like,
it's a natural
I want to see the face. Yeah.
Y'all want to see my face?
Right. We're on YouTube. You want to see what we look like while we're talking. Let's see if our voices match our faces. We're on YouTube.
Yes.
All right. So now we are back on Tatooine for some ship repairs, and we meet the most annoying person in Mandalorian ever.
Yeah, we do.
I don't hate her in other stuff. I liked her in Elf. I liked her in other random things. I don't like her in Mandalorian.
Huh.
She drives me insane. Repairs aren't free, so Mando heads to the cantina looking for a job and gets a job tracking down Fennec Shand, who is Agent Melinda May. With the help of another person, they find her, and Mando presumes this dumbass with him killed her. But we see someone walk up to her and later learn that that is Boba Fett who found her and saved her, and now she's his right-hand man, which is how, we see all that in the book of Boba Fett.
Ooh, this next episode, another fantastic episode, because this is the Prison Break episode where we meet old Billy No Fun, old Freckles himself is in this episode. Yes, Bill Burr, who notoriously hates Star Wars, is in
Which
a Star
makes it even
Wars.
better that he's in this.
And he's fucking great.
I do. I love his
As
stand-up.
Mayfield, he is great. So this sees them kind of breaking somebody out to trap, they trap Mando. It doesn't go like they thought. And they kill somebody who is actually the voice of Anakin Skywalker in some of the Clone Wars and things of that nature. And so this leads to something really great. Like Mayfield is an old stormtrooper type character, and he really kind of has a distaste for these Empire folks, right? And so there's like the really cool train scenes where they're fighting and things like that. And
Well, that's not till season 2, though, I think.
I thought that was season 1. I thought this was this episode.
It could be season 1, but it's not in this episode.
I thought it was
because this episode ends, he basically gets arrested, and then they go and pull him out of jail later.
Oh, I'm a fool. My bad.
I wouldn't just leave that out.
My bad. Anyways.
So in this one, it ends with them like blowing something up, and obviously he got arrested at the end.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that was
He
season
jumped
2's
the gun
episode.
a little. It
I'm
happens.
sorry.
He got
I
a
got
little
excited.
excited.
My bad. Okay.
He said it all too fast.
They're on a jail here, and this is kind of like the Aliens type vibe episode where like they're picking people off one by one, and Mando steals their ship, and he puts, puts
a tracker on their ship.
Puts a tracker. Bill Burr gets arrested. All that good stuff. Okay. My bad. Now, we're back on Navarro. Grief makes an offer to take down Werner Herzog, the client who wants to see the baby. Show me the baby.
So have you heard about this? Because I knew his name was Werner Herzog, but I hadn't heard it in a while. And then I kept having friends send me these videos of this woman who does these TikToks or reels. And she's like, this is the Werner Herzog beige toys for sad beige children. And it's this, I don't know. It's like some catalog of all these these like sad.
Adam Zeroni, is that you?
Some mom who I became like TikTok famous, I guess. But there's some catalog where there's these children and they're all wearing beige and they have sad beige toys and they are doing sad things and they don't look happy. And she's like, here's the sad beige child holding his sad beige dinosaur, contemplating the emptiness of life. But it's all called like Werner Herzog's like sad beige toys for sad beige children.
Terrifying. All right,
go ahead.
I think I'm set. Now that everybody's scared and ran away.
No, everyone's Googling Werner Herzog.
Yeah.
Sad beige toys for sad beige children.
Actually, to complete his mission, including the droid that we've seen before, who is now a nanny, thanks to Quill and Cara Dune. So Grief gets hurt. The child uses the Force to heal him. Now, this is where we enter Moff Gideon, played by Juan Carlo Esposito. He surrounds the place with some stormtroopers. The stormtroopers kill our boy Quill, and they take the child.
Yes, it's true. One of the stormtroopers is Ted Lasso himself.
Lasso himself. That's not very believe of you, Teddy Lasso. He punches Grogu. Nanny droid then murders them and takes the child. Mando
Ted
gets
Lasso
hurt.
had it coming.
And says for them to leave him, but they don't. And then the nanny droid fixes him because he can take his helmet off in front of droids. Then they head to the sewers, but no other Mandos are below ground except Emily Swallow from Supernatural. There she is again, folks, who says that the child is now a foundling and needs to return to his own people. She then does the Mudhorn sigil on his Beskar armor. Mando and his friends find the lava river, and the droid sacrifices himself. And once they are out, they defeat the troopers who are after them. Moff Gideon shows up, trying to kill them again. Mando jetpacks up, attacks Gideon in the air, plants a bomb on the ship, causes it to crash. But
dun dun dun.
Grief asks Cara to become his enforcer as the dust settles, while Mando jetpacks away with the child to return him to his people. And this is where the season leaves off because Moff Gideon emerges from his TIE fighter with the dark saber. And that was the moment all of us Clone Wars people were like,
lost your minds.
Oh my. We all lost our minds.
And that's when I started watching Clone Wars.
We all lost our minds. He cut himself out with a dark saber. And now we're going on to season 2. So kick us off with season 2.
So as Mando continues on his journey to find where the child came from, he starts looking for the Jedi, and that leads him to a Mandalorian on Tatooine. Quote, Mandalorian on Tatooine.
Oh, yeah.
There he meets
Oliphant.
Marshal Cobb Vanth dressed on Boba's Mando armor. I love him. And I did not put this in the notes.
He's like one of the greatest actors ever. He's amazing in everything he's in.
And he's not dead because they had him in the Bacta tank at the end.
Yes.
He's dressed in the armor, and Cobb Vanth tells him that he freed the town from the control of the mining collective and bought the armor from Jawas, or from the Jawas. Cobb then tells Mando about the crate dragon and says he'll give him the armor if he helps him actually kill the dragon because the dragon is harassing the town. Mando, he loves putting teams together.
He does.
He's really like Nick Fury. He's like, I'm putting a team together. So he gathers up the Tusken Raiders and other locals and whatnot, and they all team up, and Mando saves the day at the expense of a very sad, scared Bantha.
But he's more about like empowering people, right? Because these people in the town were afraid. And he's very much just like the people in the last season. He's very much empowering. Hey, you can do this. He has a very weird way.
He's like Ted Lasso
speaking,
not the stormtrooper Ted Lasso. Done. It is true. He definitely gets the job done. But that Bantha looked very scared, and he knew what was coming, and he paid the ultimate cost. But you then see Mando leaving with the Boba armor because he's like, "That's Mandalorian armor. I need that." And are you pouring one out? Pouring one out for the Bantha.
One out.
And you do see later on in this season, they have the rib cage of this dragon inside their bar. So that's a pretty cool little Easter egg.
Trophies.
Next, Mando meets the frog lady with her eggs.
Fun episode. Creepy episode.
Oh God, it was so bad. So, I mean, not bad, but he agrees to get her to her husband to save their species because her husband needs to fertilize her eggs in exchange for info on the other Mandalorians. But the catch is they can't go hyperspeed because that could harm the eggs, which then causes X-Wing fighters to show up, and Mando crash lands on an ice planet with lots of creepy ass spiders. Hi, kind of like the one I have under a beer glass that I'm going to rescue later.
Spiders on an ice planet, if you're telling me.
There you go. And that wolf spider was jumping a little bit.
Get warm on the ship. Let's fertilize them eggs.
So all while the child is about to single-handedly end a species because he's hungry. And remember the frog lady too, like found a jacuzzi. She's like lounging in the jacuzzi. It's like hot springs
stuff, and it's wild.
So the X-Wing pilots actually come back and they rescue them to an extent. I think at one point he's like, "Hey, can you help us with this?" And they're like, "We've done enough." Yeah. They explain that because the Mandalorian helped apprehend his accomplices from the prison break, including Bill Burr or Mayfield.
Oh, Billy No Fun.
That they're going to basically give him a pass and not arrest him, just give him a warning, but that's all they're going to do. Then Mando, the child, Frog Lady, and her eggs go on their merry way in a very shaky, not stable at all Razor Crest.
That's right. But hey, at least Frog Lady finds her boo. And so there's that. We get some fishermen who say they're going to help try to ambush them for the armor. And that's when a giant creature eats the child, bassinet and all.
And he closes the bassinet real quick.
Yeah, they are rescued by some other Mandos, including Bo-Katan. This is where we get Bo-Katan. Sasha Banks shows up as one of the crew members. And together they steal some stuff to try and take back Mandalore. And then
while the frog lady babysits Grogu. I feel like that's important because we all thought that species was about to end right there.
Yes. They try to tell Mando to go find Ahsoka Tano.
Leonardo DiCaprio moment.
Ahsoka. So now the Razor Crest needs help. So back to Navarro, where Kara and Greef are. They've made the town a better place. The child goes to a school with a bunch of little assholes who don't share their cookies. So Mando and friends actually go in and destroy an Imperial base at this point. they discover that the base is being used as a lab by Dr. Pershing to conduct experiments with a child's blood, which has a very high metachlorine count. Oh no, again. They destroy that base, and then Mando and the child head out once more, but now they have a tracker on their ship.
You would think you'd be smarter about that.
You really would. You'd think you'd check for this kind of stuff. Come on. All right. So
you don't have an anti-tracker thing?
No, I guess not. So they make it to Corvus to find the living conditions very terrible. The scary lady that's running the place offers to give Mando a spear of Beskar steel in exchange for killing Ahsoka. Now, Mando then finds Ahsoka on the outskirts of town and presents the child to her. Using the Force, Ahsoka says that his name is Grogu. We finally get a name for the child.
Oh, and it was so cute. People who had issues with it, I was like, how adorable was it when Mando's like Grogu and he's like, huh? And he would like turn his little head and look up. It was adorable.
And we also find out that he has been training as a Jedi since before Order 66. Ahsoka says that she's going to help him train if Mando helps her kill the lady running the town. Mando and Ahsoka team up and they confront Elsbeth and demand to know where her master is, who is Grand Admiral Thrawn. Rebels fans rejoice.
Dun, dun,
Ahsoka
dun.
says, just kidding. And then Grogu loves you too much. I cannot actually train him. So she's like, I'm not going to train him. There's too much attachment, essentially, which is not the Jedi way.
Psych.
Which, Ahsoka, you're not a Jedi. You're just a citizen. But that's between you and me.
That's true. She is no Jedi.
She directs them then to an ancient temple on the planet Tython, where Grogu can use the Force to find other Jedi and decide his own fate. And this is also where she gives Mando the spear.
Which becomes important. So Mando takes Grogu to the ancient temple and he sits on the stones for some serious meditation while being surrounded by a protective energy shield that Mando cannot get through. Meanwhile, Boba and Fennec show up.
Yo, Boba Fett's so badass in this episode. He really does show up and he's pretty badass looking.
So Boba Fett tells him that the armor he has was his father's Jango Fett and that Jango was a foundling of the Mandalorians. So Mando says you can have it, but you have to help Grogu. And they all agree. That seems to happen a lot. I didn't realize that till I was writing these summaries, that there are so many like, well, if you do this for me, then I'll do what you want to do. Let's go.
It's a give and take world out. Or
a lot of that
there,
and a lot of building teams.
Yeah.
And so they all agree. Then Moff Gideon shows up. Mando, Boba, and Fennec fight some stormtroopers while Grogu finishes meditating and then takes a nap. Gideon destroys the Razor Crest and captures Grogu. So now they all hop into Slave One to save Grogu, but first to Navarro to get Kara to help break out.
This was
Bill
awesome.
Burr.
This part, because you get like the seismic charge from the Slave One, which is not called Slave One anymore. But
isn't it still called that? It was just in that one Lego set they didn't do it.
No, I think they're changing the name. They changed the name.
Oh.
But yeah, you get that boom noise and it's just like, woo, it did the thing. Pretty badass. Now, this next episode is where the badass Bill Burr, one of my favorite episodes of the season, takes place.
So take it away.
This is what I was talking about. So Bill Burr's in Kara's custody and agrees to help find Moff Gideon's cruiser, but he needs access to an internal terminal. He suggests a secret Imperial mining hub on Morak. So they team up, they get in. Mando has to then remove his helmet, and Bill Burr makes up something about TPS reports.
I had a Leonardo DiCaprio moment there. I was waiting for like the bad dude to be like, so I'm going to need those reports. I need you to come in on Saturday.
Bond over the Empire being a bunch of a-holes, right? And there's this cool train sequence
office
where they're fighting and
office space.
It's awesome. It's a really badass episode. Bill Burr, for somebody who doesn't like Star Wars, he does a great job in Star Wars. So this then takes us to the finale. What happens in the finale?
So, Mando and Kara board an Imperial shuttle and capture Dr. Pershing. They enlist the help of Bo-Katan and Casca Reeves to rescue Grogu. In return, Bo-Katan will get Gideon's cruiser and the dark saber, which she's kind of like subtle about that. Like she's not really trying to make her mission well known.
But she's like really thirsty about it. You can tell though.
Yeah, but it's like she doesn't want it to be obvious that she's thirsty about it.
She the hell out of that dark saber.
She does.
Come on.
Right. Okay. Well, the Mandalorian considers helping her liberate Mandalore. They use the shuttle to get close enough to crash land on Gideon's cruiser, with Fett pretending to attack them in Slave One, because Fett was like, hey, we didn't help, because Mando first let him off the hook. And then he's like, no, we said we were going to help you with your kid. So we're helping you all the way through. So right away, you started to see that they were changing the story of Boba Fett from, just a lackey for Darth Vader to somebody who actually has a conscience. So Bo-Katan, Casca, Shand, and Dune fight through stormtroopers to the cruiser's bridge. The Mandalorian finds the Dark Troopers, barely defeats one of them with the Beskar spear, and ejects the rest into space. He fights Gideon with the spear and overpowers him, making Mando the new rightful owner of the Darksaber, which is hilarious when he then is like, here you go. And she's like,
I can't take it. You want it. It doesn't work like that. And he's just like, I don't want this. I don't want it's Jon Snow.
It was almost comical, right? And she's well, actually, if she was Khaleesi, she would have taken it anyways. The Dark Troopers fly back onto the ship, but are all destroyed by.
Our boy.
Did you
Luke
see this
Skywalker?
coming?
I didn't. I honestly didn't. But when
I
that
just remember
X-wing
this
pulled up, I was like, no way they're doing this right now.
Oh yeah, I didn't. And I remember saying to my daughter, who has a green lightsaber? Who is that? Whose green lightsaber is that?
Effing Luke Skywalker, and not just Luke Skywalker, but we use technology. This is like really
Mark Hamill.
It was Mark Hamill, but de-aged Mark Hamill. They perfected the technology off of some guy who was making YouTube videos, who then they hired to come in and perfect this. And oh my God, that scene where it's just Luke mowing them down, and he shows up and he takes Grogu, and it's just like, oh man.
It was beautiful. It was a lot of fun. It was I think it was really the first Leonardo DiCaprio moment for me as a Star Wars fan, because when this was the first thing that came out that I actually watched like live.
That's true.
Because
this is like you're recent into the Star Wars universe at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I watched Mando when it first came out in 2019. So it was before we started the podcast, but all the movies and stuff, it was, I'll catch them on DVD. That's how old I am.
Really when you're like, yeah.
Oh, so this moment was the first, jump up and be like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah. And Grogu goes with Mando, says, hey, you got to go, little buddy. He takes his helmet off and everything. It's really sad. And so the post-credit scene for this one, it's Boba Fett and Fennec Shand travel to Jabba's palace. And Bib Fortuna's running the place until Boba shows up and kills his ass and sits on there's that whole scene where he sits down on the throne. And we're thinking something awesome's coming. We're not going to get into Book of Boba Fett too much. We're going to talk about
we are going to do the recap just of Mando and Boba. Yes. I liked Boba Fett more than you did, definitely.
I didn't really like it. So, in between Book of Boba Fett, it becomes Mandalorian season 2.5. Where
it does.
And you could tell like the cinematography and everything is way different than the quality of show we are getting with Book of Boba Fett. And we get Mando, who's training with the Darksaber. He tells on himself. He's like, yo, yeah, I snitched on myself. I took my helmet off. Sorry. And so now he's technically not a Mandalorian, but.
Which is interesting because Boba Fett and Bo-Katan and all of them call themselves Mandalorians.
And everybody's taking their helmets off. And
they call him an extremist or something. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's we are going to have to do a whole episode on the Mandalorian culture, I think.
Yes, in May.
We will. In May, we're going to do a whole episode deep dive into the Mandalorian culture because really there's a lot to it. There's a bunch of different sides. And so basically, though, they say, hey, you can be a Mandalorian again if you complete a mission on Mandalore. So from there, we see that Mando visits Grogu, who is doing some training with Luke and
some adorable training.
You
didn't say adorable.
Amazing. Sorry. Adorable.
It was
training.
Adorable.
Wicked adorable.
When Luke's like pushing him and he's like doing his little jump.
He's doing his thing. And that's when Mando shows up. Dad came back from getting cigarettes to give him a chainmail made with the Beskar steel that he got from fighting, with the spear and stuff like that. And so also in that episode before, we see Ahsoka talking to Luke Skywalker. Two things we never thought would have happened.
And she even says, you're so much like your dad. Oh my God. Which means Luke knows about Anakin, not just Vader.
Well, this is obviously
Right, but I mean,
yeah, he gets kind of filled in, right, about the man that his father was.
But we always just assumed like he knew nothing of like his past or his father's past. Oh
man, it's so good. It's so good. However, Luke essentially makes Grogu choose between the lightsaber and the armor. He has to give up his attachments, and that's when Grogu picks Mando. And so R2 delivers Grogu to Mando during the whole thing, and Mando then shows up to help Boba Fett fight Cad Bane and all the other bad guys. And
he shows up in the middle of it with the annoying lady.
He does. He just
I love that R2
like, hey guys, I'm back. Here. Hi. So after the whole shindig goes down,
Force jumps into Mando's arms, and Mando looked so surprised and concerned and happy at the same time.
He's like, what the hell? You're showing up during this battle. What? It's crazy. And after that, the two of them sail off in their Naboo starfighter that's reconfigured, and Grogu's playing with a little ball.
He's banging on the thing to make it go faster. But Grogu also does help save the day because he calms the Rancor.
He does. He
puts him to sleep, and then he puts himself to sleep.
Using his Force powers, and he goes night-night because he's still a child. So, yeah. Going to be interesting to see where that goes. So why don't you, before we wrap up, we do have some fun facts about Mandalorian season 1 and 2. So Lauren, you love the fun facts. I love the fun facts. Start us off with some fun facts.
So if you've been listening to us for a while, a lot of these are repeated fun facts from May, but when I was going over them, I didn't remember them, and I researched them, wrote them down, and then repeated them on the podcast. So this is to refresh your memory. So visual effects company Industry Light and Magic developed the stagecraft technology for the series using virtual sets with a 360-degree video wall to create the series environments. We've talked about this before. If you Google it, it's amazing. This is the first time it was ever used, where they are literally, you used to see back in the day, like in Supernatural, you're riding in a car and you have a green screen and that's it. So there's no green screen. It's literally like 360-degree video behind them. So it actually looks and feels like the actors have said it's like they're in a ride and they're flying through space. Pedro once ad-libbed telling Grogu to stay back from something because it was hot. And Grogu, the puppeteer, actually improvised. And Pedro Pascal said he almost broke character because he thought it was so cool that this little puppet was improvising with him.
That's insane.
So the pilots played, so that scene that you were talking about when they blow up the one thing and, when Bill Burr gets arrested and everything. So the pilots flying to that are Deborah Chow, Rick
Famuyiwa. Oh my God. I know how to say it, but and Dave
Filoni are actually the pilots, and those are all the directors. When the prison, I just said that. So extra fun fact here on a fun fact is one of the X-Wings that was actually used is now in Florida in Galaxy's Edge, right outside Rise of the Resistance. You have a picture with your daughter in front of it.
I didn't know that was from the show.
Yes, we've talked about it before. See, this is why it's fun to repeat these things. We forget so much. Nick Nolte is actually the one who voices Kual, which is, I don't know why I found that hilarious, but I did. You can see the IG-11. That's the nanny droid. So they use the heads of those. Obviously, this isn't the first time you see that droid, but you could see the heads of them at Oga's Cantina at Disney, and they're like almost like the taps or whatever. But it's kind of funny because when we went in there, somebody was like, "Hey, that's the nanny droid from Mando." Grogu cost about $5 million. Each episode cost about $13 million.
Yeah.
The show I already talked about.
It's on the volume set, which you see, but like all of them use the volume sets, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think that really probably has changed a lot of that industry. So Werner Herzog, who we were talking about before, he's known for more than just beige, sad children and beige, sad toys. He's a film director. And so Deborah Chow was the one that directed that episode called The Client, and she really wanted him. She said he was acting against the baby, and he started directing the baby directly. The baby being Grogu. And she goes, I'm trying to direct Werner, who's now directing the puppet. He would tell us we needed to commit to the magic when they were like, hey, that's not a real person. I've never seen
a Star Wars movie before too, which is crazy.
Right. Before filming the scenes. Yeah. But, you hear that so much, and that kind of surprised me. Like I hear that.
Yeah.
Like listening to the Supernatural podcast or listening to like the fact that Owen Wilson didn't know all about Loki, like, as a fan, is almost as like
Like,
What
how
the
do you
fuck?
get right? Like, how do you just get these without knowing anything? It's wild to me. To us, it's wild, but to them, it's a job. So
Yeah. Do you want to take any of these fun facts? Because I'll just
yeah.
keep
So
going.
Pedro Pascal actually originally thought that he was going to be playing Boba Fett. And in order to keep Luke Skywalker a secret, the script was hand delivered to Mark Hamill himself by Jon Favreau, who, once filming began, nobody was allowed to use the words Luke Skywalker on set. And the set and editing rooms were also kept on lockdown. That's serious business, folks. So
There was rumor that's why the CGI wasn't the best either, because they didn't want to bring more people in.
I perfectly makes sense. It was
I don't
a
know if
welcome
that one's true.
surprise. It was an awesome
But yeah.
surprise. So Jon Favreau himself doesn't appear in the series, but he does provide the voice for the heavy Mando infantryman that you see in the first episode.
And he's the gorilla guy in Solo.
Yeah. So there are some advantages to having your main character in a mask the whole time. Occasionally, Pedro Pascal has had scheduling conflicts and could not appear on set. So there are 2 different stunt actors that they put in the costume and they fill in for him, wherein Pedro actually does the voice work later on to fill in. So there's benefits to that one. The 501st Legion, who is mentioned before, is a charity group of cosplayers who make and wear extremely accurate armor from the Star Wars universe, particularly Stormtrooper armor. The producers of The Mandalorian simply called up members of the Legion when they needed some Stormtroopers as extras for the show. And you can most often find them at cons all over the place, such as MegaCon. They raffled off a helmet for Give Kids the World. FanX Salt Lake, they were there. They're everywhere. There's chapters in like every city. So
Yeah.
look
And they
up
usually have little boxes. So bring some cash if you just
Oh
want to.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they do amazing stuff.
They really do. So Bryce Dallas Howard is one of the Mandalorian directors. Her dad's Ron Howard. He directed Solo. However, she was offered a lot more freedom in directing, and she's actually going to be returning again to direct another episode this coming season. Blurgs, the beast owned and trained by Quill, first appeared in the 1985 TV movie Ewoks Battle for Endor, where they previously appeared also in the Clone Wars and Rebels. And then last fun fact, Mark Hamill has a voice cameo in Chapter 5, the Gunslinger. He's the droid bartender in the Mos Eisley Cantina.
This is some fun facts.
Yeah. So prediction wise, I feel as though we're going to get some Thrawn introduction with Ezra and his. I don't think they're gonna show us Ezra and Thrawn because they're gonna save that for Ahsoka. But I think they're gonna bring Ahsoka back. They're gonna tie in and set up her series because that's supposed to be dropping this year. So I definitely feel we're getting Ahsoka. We're going to Mandalore, bitch. Get in. We're going to Mandalore. It's gonna be crazy. It's going to be wild. I don't really know what to expect. I don't have any real predictions other than we're going to get some Ahsoka and tie directly into that and maybe culminate in a giant movie featuring all of these characters. That's just my hope and dreams because I would lose my mind. But yeah, if you guys have any sort of predictions, please, by all means, let us know. I
got none, but I liked yours.
Yeah. Let us know what your predictions are for real. And I hope this was helpful for you. Next week, we are going to be doing our Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Mania review, if you will, hopefully with a guest. And yeah, it's out. Our first MCU movie of the year is out. We're in good spirits.
First
Mandalorian
phase
is coming out.
5.
We're into phase 5 now, folks.
Woo!
Let us know what you thought about the movie as well, because by now this episode's out. We both have seen the movie, and we can't wait to talk about it. So as always, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews is where you can support the show directly, or hopsgeeknews.threadless.com is where you can buy some merch. Maybe we're gonna have some other things coming out this year. Look for us at MegaCon. That's coming up. Look at it for us at some other Comic Cons. We're all over the place. We're trying to do some great stuff. So as always, we will see you next week. May the force be with you.
This is the way.
All of you. And this
I've
is the way.
spoken.